Well, Arrio Amirgholi, the creator of Dino Dodge, welcome to Kicking Tables. Such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Dino Dodge is hitting Kickstarter on August 3rd. It's coming up very fast. Why don't you tell our audience what this game is? What's it all about?
Yeah, definitely. Dino Dodge is a quick setup, obviously dinosaur themed friends and family
Yeah.
party game of survival. So the object of the game is really simple: to be the last dinosaur standing. You play action cards from your hand, slam meteors on the board, try to dodge those meteors, and put your friends under meteors. Do whatever it takes to survive, so you can be the last dinosaur standing on Earth.
Right. Yeah, and it's I could kind of go over a quick round. What does a round look like as players are playing? What are they doing in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So the game is played in a round of up to three phases. So the first player at the top of the round, it's their turn. They're going to be playing action cards from their hands. The cards are very simple. There's text on the cards. You can just play it, do what it says. When you say you're done playing your cards, you can go ahead and enter into the sky is falling phase within that same round. That phase is very simple. We rotate all active meteors on the board, and that'll indicate to all players that meteors are falling and get away from the meteors.
Right.
You also can draw a card if you're under that meteor, so there's kind of a little risk reward there. After that, it's really straightforward. You check if any meteor is about to boom, blow up, hit the land. If anybody is under that meteor, they have an opportunity to play a single action from their hand in order to survive the meteor. That action could inadvertently put somebody else under the meteor, where in that case, you're going to have this back and forth situation where, two or three players are going at it to see who can survive. If you can't get out, you're immediately eliminated from the game. If you can get out, the round continues as normal, and meteors continue to fall. Your hand begins to dwindle, and more of the land becomes even more dangerous, such as lava.
I have actually a question for you because we've played the game, we reviewed it. Our review
Okay.
will be up very shortly on our channel as well. But during gameplay, you actually have the opportunity to rotate. Like some of the cards you play can actually rotate a meteor. But what actually
Right.
happens if you rotate the meteor to the position at which point it would hit the land? Does it happen immediately or only at the end of the round? Because at the end of the round, you also rotate them again.
You can only put it to its one axis. So never can go below
Okay.
its one axis at
Okay,
that point.
so it will
Yeah.
only go below its one axis at the end of the round.
Right. And on top of that, you cannot rotate you cannot rotate down, you can only rotate up. So you cannot speed up the falling meteors. So you can
Oh,
only postpone them.
well, we played
Okay.
that wrong.
Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not sure if that was clear. All right, well, that's good to
Yeah, we
No,
know.
played
you're,
we played that wrong. We were dropping those things.
Yeah,
mhm.
we thought it was to basically make it happen quicker on your opponents.
Yeah, we took that out because people were were just it was more overpowered than the other ones.
Gotcha.
So
Well, that
so
makes
that's
sense.
why.
I mean, we were playing with a prototype, so we know
Yeah.
prototypes are always in flux. So it's good to know. But yeah, it was a fun game for sure.
I still had a
Nice.
lot of fun with it, even though we were playing that wrong. I thought it was a little bit more evil that we're like, I'm going to drop this on your head a little faster.
That's right. That's,
So
Nice.
yeah,
I
I
know
had fun
it's
with
a
that.
nice feeling, right? Like, yeah, it was just the balance, right? Like it was like that initially, but it was just the other ones uh aren't as strong in that sense,
yeah, that
right?
makes sense. So yeah, it's more to save yourself than to anything else.
Yeah. So like you should be, withstanding, your stance on the board, right? Like so everything should be give you a chance to survive, and it's more difficult to kind of set up a situation where you do take somebody out. The game's more about survival than about you surviving than it is you trying to set up your opponent to take them out. You can
Okay.
do that, but it comes at a cost, which is your hand, and your hand is so useful in this game for a survival, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the balance and how the elements work when when I was designing and kind of setting it up.
Awesome.
So tell us a little bit. The art style on this reminded me a lot of like Land Before Time, very
Hmm.
cutesy dinosaurs, which is like a very kid friendly, fun movie. with such a almost, again, we were playing a little bit more evil than you, but with such a
Sure.
a mean take that mechanic. I'm like, this is great for my daughter, then I can drop a meat, and it was sort of that weird balance of very fun. So tell us about how you came up with the idea for the art style for this.
Oh yeah, so I mean the art style is all credited to Lin Win. So he's with Blue Gear Games, and I mean thank you for the art, and I will definitely tell him because people have been saying the same thing. You know, they love the art, and you know the art is really brings to life the theme and the lightheartedness of the game. You know, it's really a lighthearted game, right? You know, like that evilness that you have. It's well, I got you this time, maybe you'll get me next time, and you know the next universe, right? Kind of thing. So. So really, I had just told him, I wanted to go with dinosaurs for the theme of the game, and I had mocked up when I met him, bad stuff, like bad artwork, right? Like it was just black and white stuff. It was like I was just printed something to keep the idea going.
Of course.
And then he took a stab at it, and I was just like, man, I love this. This is so great. I mean, like the dinosaurs are so to your point are so like. Have such character and like life to them, right? And they're also different and goofy looking and stuff like that. So it's really accredited to him and his style, and it was also just kind of his style was also a fortunate fit for the game. Yeah. So I think that's a big point of it.
That's awesome. Now I noticed that some of the advertisement for your game says it's community designed. Tell us about that. What's that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, Sean, great question. I'm like forgetting so many things. I'm just excited to be here. So I appreciate you guys asking me. We're like, I appreciate it. So yeah, absolutely. So community design to us is where we put a bunch of polls together, and we put a bunch of polls mainly on artwork for the community to pick and choose their selection of the artwork. Okay. So to your point on the artwork, we have Lynn. He's doing all the mock-ups and creating all the assets. But then what we do is on Facebook. We go ahead and poll our community and we say, hey, design this land tile for us. And what we do is we say, here's the backdrop. You pick one of these 4 backdrops. Okay. So they all vote on which backdrop they want. They vote on the mountain type. They vote on the rock type, the grass, the tree type, the shrubbery, I'll call it. We could have mushrooms or the rock type. And then lastly, there's a dinosaur on every one. There's 8 land tiles in total, and 2 of them are duplicates. So there's 4 that they design, and then they're duplicates of each other. And they also have the same land effect icon in the top left, which is why we kept the artwork duplicates. But that's just an example of them kind of building this artwork out and engaging, especially because we were, over here, and I know you guys were from my family that. We were all work from home. Everybody was kind of all the events that we had the privilege to go to, weren't happening. And we just wanted to give something where people can engage and then get to know this game and have fun, right? And so this was an opportunity for us to go give it out there, and people have responded, and it's been really cool. And kudos to the team over here for putting these polls together, every week, and for the community for voting on them, and staying engaged with them. We also have polls for the dinosaur colors, which are more engaging, the dinosaur names and things like that, so they get to pick the names. It's cool, it's cool, guys, because we're this is gonna win. No, yeah, come on, just don't even do the poll. This
that explains why Phoebe doesn't it starts with a P but sounds like an F because it was voted on him because Phoebe should be Paula or something. Why is it not like a P sounding name?
Paula was one of the options.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah, Paula was one of the 4. Yeah.
Yeah, because each of the dinosaurs' names matches the type of dinosaur they are. Basically, it starts with the same letter.
It's the color.
Their color. That's right. It matches the color. That's right. It's like the T-Rex is red, and I think it's ruby, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned something earlier about playing the cards and when to play them and stuff like that. And I want to talk about a little bit about that, about the dual actions on the cards. So you can use the cards as movements to jump and dodge out of the way of the meters, but you can also use them to affect the board. What kind of strategy do you usually employ when you're sort of getting those cards out? Do you hang on to those cards to make sure you can jump out of the way, or do you sort of play them to sort of spin the meteors or the world around?
Yeah.
That's a good question. It depends who I'm playing with.
Okay.
So and that was kind of my intention with the cards, was to make them, have a multitude of options on them, not too many, but like if you don't want to think so much, you play the card for the action, right? Just want to keep going, right? If you want to strategize and then think about, okay, I can do this, I can do that, but let me see what that happens. Okay, how many turns until I come around? Then you can do that as well. So I like to use the land tiles because I think they're fun, but I also like to play conservative, right? So sometimes I'll play conservative, or I'll spice things up with playing 2 cards, back to back in order to get some momentum going. Sometimes I like to set up like a swap, so like a land or a meteor swap. So that's the purple icon, and that's when you swap any 2 active meteors, right? And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll let somebody put me under, and I'll make sure that I'm on that. I position myself to that tile to be on a swap, and then I'll just play the swap and then throw it back over them or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or just flip the script on them, right? And it's a good feeling, So and then you can see if they want to come back at you and stuff. Dino Power is also a really good thing to do, right? Because so the way that we made Dino Power is like it's one of the most fun actions of the game. It makes makes your dinosaur unique. It's the reason that it's unique, and then you get to play it. And so we wanted to reward players for using it. We wanted to emphasize using that. So you do get an action card from using your Dino Power, so that way you can get some more card draw, because as I'm sure you guys play, card draw is not happening all the time, right? It's like you're losing cards, you're forced to play cards, everything's dwindling down. So your Dino Power keeps it coming back. So those are the 3 actions you can take, and just depending on the table, I like to pick and choose, what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Talk to us about the process of creating this game. When you sat down, or when you had the idea for this game, is it the game today that you originally envisioned, or did it start out as something completely different?
That's such a good question, Sean. And it was a process, on my end. At the heart, it's the same game.
Okay.
So like the spirit of it is the same game, but it is, it started as an uncarved block, and it is now, Dino Dodge. The game initially, how I did it is I just come up with ideas. So I'm like, I got 1 hour. Okay, come up with these are like all the themes that I want to do. So I'll just come up with a theme, right? And I had this theme, which wasn't dinosaur themed, right? So it wasn't initially dinosaur themed. Okay. And the theme was it was these acid rain clouds, and so like it was like pushing your friends under acid rain. What was like the premise of the game, right? And so you would like go, like you had these little rain clouds, which are now the meteors, and it was a even simpler and quicker game than what it is now. And so it was 15 cards. I wanted something I could just go over to somebody's house and I'm like, I got this game, let's play it. Let's just have fun. It's super easy to play. It's super easy to do it. I promise even you can win, like no offense to anybody. Like I have friends who, the deepest game they know is Scrabble or Monopoly, right? And, I want them to enjoy games with me as well, but I want to enjoy the games too, right? So I wanted some level of strategy, but simple enough to where like they had a chance to engage it too. So I had this initial one, and I met with, Blue Gear, and then I showed them that, and then I ended up changing the theme because I was like, this theme's not really working. I don't want to pursue the whole acid rain thing, which is kind of a fun idea. And I switched it to I switched it to the dinosaurs, and it fits so well. Yeah. And initially it was 15 cards in the deck, and there was we had a swap card, move action, and then there were no land icons. I had 3 cards that did those things, and they were like these rare cards in the deck, right? And so what happened is every round it was like musical chairs, even more, where everybody would get 3 cards, but you could play up to 5 players, and you would just go in rotation starting from the most prehistoric, right? And you would just play a card until all your cards are gone. And so it would be this musical chairs thing to see who got pushed under, right? Most of the time, the last player got pushed under, right? Because the last player, or the third to last or something like that, got pushed over because they just didn't have cards, and 2 other people had cards to
Okay.
potentially move them, right?
I got you.
And so that was a deficit of the game. But and then the board would shrink, so it became this like shrinking thing and stuff like that, and to where people were constantly getting eliminated no matter what. And that's how it started. And then so I met with Blue Gear, and then we went over it. And like I said, it was a process. There was points where we're making a change here, and I'm weighing I'm weighing the options, and I'm like, okay, is this gonna make better? And really you have to like keep an open mind, Sean, but you have to keep like, this is what this is. If we do that, it's not the same game, right? And so we need to make sure that we're improving the experience for the players, but we're not, we can't make this a new game. Just start from scratch if that's what we want to do, right? And the guys at Blue Gear were really great about that. But yeah, it was a process, and many late night calls, and sometimes tears, and sometimes like, this is genius, so back and forth.
Awesome.
So with your campaign, obviously we've got Dino Dodge. It's the the main game. But you guys have some expansions that you're working on. Are those going to be included automatically, or are those stretch goals for you?
So they'll be included automatically, and they'll be in the deluxe pledge.
Okay.
So we will have the core game. So if you just want to get the core game, that'll be available. And then we'll have a separate pledge, which is the deluxe, which is the core plus the expansions in all one box. And there's 4 expansions in total.
4. All right. Now tell us a little bit about the expansions. How do they affect the game? What do they change about it? What do they bring to the table?
Absolutely. I personally, I love the expansions. I wouldn't recommend like somebody who wants to like, really sit down and dig in to not play with the expansions if you have the capacity to do it, right? And, everybody at the table has the mental capacity to get on board. I would recommend the expansions. They all add a little bit of something different. But one of the main aspects is surprise. So I'll go over the first one. It's really straightforward. It's called Cataclysmic Events. Okay. And it's kind of the name of the expansion, right? Event cards come out, and they create catastrophes on planet Earth in the Cretaceous period. So you basically, just before the sky's falling down, you flip over a card, and then you do what the card says. Some says add 2 meteors adjacent to both sides of the active player. Oh. So now you're getting more meteors coming in. Another one says, this is probably my favorite one, is Earthquake. And so Earthquake flips all tiles that players occupy and turns them into lava.
Oh, no.
And I know,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know we didn't cover lava. I know you guys had played, but lava isn't a mechanic that you can't be on at your turn, or you're going to be eliminated. And it also creates a frantic moment for your dinosaur called a deadly impact if you're on lava, and a booming meteor where you have to use more resources. So I like that because it happens right before the phase you think everything's good. Yeah. So, it really creates like some more like chaos and randomness, and all the events are different. And we have stretch goals for different events, and, just cool, like different ones that are coming out. So that's that one. The next one, which is, these 2 are kind of tied for my favorite, but they're all good, is Mysteries of Mother Earth. And so what Mysteries of Mother Earth does is it takes these 8 tokens, we call them aura tokens, and you put them face down, one below each land tile. What happens is whenever a meteor hits it, you flip over that aura, and that aura will either do a one-time effect or add a permanent effect to that land tile.
Okay.
And so they're all unique. So, for example, one of them is a tar pit. So what happens if you get moved into the tar pit is the only way to get out is use your dino power. You cannot escape the unless you use your dino power.
Okay.
Another one is oil slick. And so how oil slick works is if you exit through oil slick, right after your action, you're going to roll a die. There'll be a dino die in the expansion. And you roll that die, and whatever number you roll is how many extra movements you have to move on top of that. Okay. So it's kind of like a slip and slide, right? You got
your slippery feet, yeah.
Right.
Now, on this die, there's an eye, and if you roll that eye with the oil slick, then you kind of go in Zen mode and keep your balance, and you don't move anymore, right? But that eye does different things based on what mechanic you.
I'm just picturing a T-Rex just doing the.
That's how I've been like
tiny little arms.
Yeah, it's harder for the arms to get together to do it, but it can get it done.
Yeah, the point is they keep their balance, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So there's some mechanics in there. They also introduce another meeple, which is a velociraptor, which will slash cards out of opponents' hands. So it's a free action you'll get to use on your turn if you want to roll it and get that velociraptor moving to slash people. But if you roll that eye, he comes right for you and he slashes you.
Clever girl.
Yeah, so a bunch of great mechanics in there. I won't go over each one, but they're really cool. They add a lot to the game, and the great thing about it is, guys, is that every game I know you played, there's a safe tile. So one tile always has to be the safe tile that players can occupy too. There must always be at least one safe tile in the game whenever you're making any player action. One of those tiles one of those auras will never get flipped. So you kind of always have, you have a lot of scenarios where you're going to have certain things in play this round that you didn't have last round, or maybe people haven't popped these ones and the game is slightly different. So you play with these different effects added onto the land, and then you can use these against your opponent. So you can push your opponent into the oil slick. You can push them into the tar pit. There's also dino poop. So it's a cool one that you can. So we had to make one. It was just like this running thing. It's really cool. You guys will like it.
That's nice.
And then just the last two are really straightforward. The next one is called Prehistoric Pals, and it introduces a pterodactyl to the game. The pterodactyl, think of him like a taxi. Basically, on your turn, you get a free action to roll the pterodactyl, and you can move him the space as you roll. Along the way, he can pick up any player and then drop him off where he landed. You can pick up yourself, a player, or you can just keep moving. The other one is the Dino Egg. And the Dino Egg is great because it introduces another way to draw cards in the game. So the Dino Egg will be placed on an empty land tile at the start of the game. And then during the Sky is Falling phase, anybody who is on the same tile with the Dino Egg will get to draw one card from their discard pile. So it's kind of like a rebirth token, right? Like that's the idea here. We wanted to give another way that people can draw. And we also wanted to give something they can seek. One of the things about the game is you're really seeking survival, but the egg introduces something else that you can go for.
Another place that adds that risk too if it's on the wrong side of the board from where you really are going to be safe too.
Exactly, right. And so we give it to the last player at the start of the game, so they have the least power at the beginning of the game, so we give it to them to put. And then the cool thing is during your turn, you can actually take the egg and run with it. So you could if you're on it, you can go move another space and take it and keep it moving. And then when a meteor hits the egg, the mechanic is that it bounces the egg and flies it across the other side of the Earth. So it lands on the other side. So, like I said, lighthearted game. So eggs are flying, all the time back then. That was awesome. The deal.
Well, I'm super excited to try some of those expansions. We have our lightning round now. You ready to answer some questions? I don't know if you've ever seen these lightning rounds. All board game related questions, just to get to know a little bit more about you outside of your own game.
Sure.
All right. Okay. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. First thing that comes to the top of your mind. Favorite modern game?
Comet.
Comet? Okay.
Yeah.
Dice or cards?
Oh. Cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sci-fi or fantasy?
Fantasy.
Fantasy?
Yeah.
Favorite classic game?
Scrabble.
All right.
Fair enough.
I guess.
I'm a fan of Scrabble.
Yeah.
All right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Nice.
Right. We would also accept both. That's also acceptable answer.
Okay.
Zombies or vampires? And you do have to pick one here. We will not accept both on this.
Well, not accept both. Thank you for the preface. Okay. Vampires.
Okay.
All right. He picked. No, that was wrong. It was the wrong answer.
Is that the wrong answer, Chico?
Yeah, that's the wrong answer. You were close. You're close. Favorite childhood game?
Oh, wow. I love Pokemon cards. I play Pokemon cards all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm the only child, so I never had games to play with my friends. So I would just play Pokemon by myself against myself.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, the last game outside of your own game that you've played.
Oh, I was at a buddy's last weekend. It was Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys played that?
No, I haven't played that.
I haven't tried that one yet, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's cooperative. I was the Green Ranger, and I totally abused him to where like the game. I broke the game, like, and I was like, guys, this can't be right. Let's not do this. Like.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Ario, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. And before we let you go, what do you really want people to know about Dino Dodge, and why should they back this game?
Absolutely, Sean. I want them to know that I created this game that they can play, that true gamers can play with their non-gamer friends, that they have something that they can play with their families together, and that they can be entertained with. Dino Dodge is really quick and easy to learn, and it's easy to teach. And I made it to where the people that you love who may not have your same interests can come together on your same interests. And so if that's something that you're looking for, I think Dino Dodge is the perfect fit, and that was my intention with making this game.
Awesome. Well, Dino Dodge is on Kickstarter now, so everybody go check it out. And our review of it, or our preview of the prototype, will be up very soon, so check that out as well. Ario, thank you so much for being on the show, and good luck with your campaign.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Arrio here. If you like what you saw with Dino Dodge, please check out our Kickstarter on August 3rd. It'll be available for the US and Canada. I just got done with the interview with OMG Nexus. If you like what you saw, subscribe below. They're going to have a preview and review of our game on August 3rd and August 4th.